Greetings, Otaku Faithful. Thank you for joining me again this week. Once again, it's Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief, and I'm here to bring you yet again another Game of Thrones episode review right here on Otaku Assemble! Weekly. As always, here to bring you the latest reviews for this week's Game of Thrones episode. And this week, episode 10, Game of Thrones Season 1 finale. Now, before I get into the review, for anyone who is with me, I want to take this time to thank everybody who joined me for my live blog TV session for the season finale. But as you guys saw at the end of the live stream, I wasn't really that surprised to the end of the episode. It wasn't as nearly as shocking as last week's episode. And it's not that I was spoiled. I wasn't spoiled, but it's just that the ending of this episode was kind of obvious. It wasn't surprising at all, especially if you pay attention to the series. I'll get into that when we get to that point in this review, but I just want you guys to know that, you know, if this review doesn't seem as energetic, I guess is the correct term I'm looking for, as most of my other ones, that's because there weren't really, you know, that the big unveiling at the end wasn't that surprising at all. Like, I kind of knew that was going to happen. Not in the same way, but the end-all, be-all result I knew was going to be the same. So, but let's get on with the review. Okay, so I'm pretty much going to do this review. I normally do my Game of Thrones reviews like this where I do them by location. So this one is going to be no different. I know some of you guys in the past have said you liked it better when I did it by character because that's how the book is. But the location really does help me organize everything in my head. So, okay, so episode 10, season 1 finale. Okay, King's Landing. We're going to start off there. Why? Because that's where we left off last week. Like I said, episode 9 ended with Ned's execution. Big fucking shocker. And as you guys remember from last week, if you've seen my reaction video, if you've seen my review, I was up in ears about that shit. Pissed off to high heaven. I wanted everybody's heads. It was crazy. It was madness. So, starting off this episode in King's Landing, what has happened? Number one, first thing I want to note is Arya. Arya has kind of been left in the care of, I forget the gentleman's name, but he is the gentleman from the Night's Watch who came to King's Landing for new recruits. And Ned saw him in the crowd on his way to the steps right before he was executed. And he told him to get Arya out of there. So homeboy grabbed her, got her the hell up out of there. But one thing that's worth noting, what he did was, number one, he cut her hair to make her look more like a boy. Number two, gave her an alias. And number three, has taken her with him. And I believe they're heading to the Wall. Now, does that mean that Arya's going to the Wall herself? I don't think so. I think they might just drop her back off in Winterfell until they'll either drop her off in Winterfell since they have to pass it up anyway on their way back to the Wall, or they might actually take her to the Wall just so she'd be, you know, protected. But there are no women on the Wall, so is she just going to be a dude from now on? And besides, if she runs into Jon, like, I mean, well, I'm really not sure. But one thing that's worth noting that I loved was the fact that we got to see one of King Robert's bastard children, the blacksmith. Him. He was there, and he actually helped Arya when she was getting picked on by some. Well, she was getting picked on, but then, you know, Arya can take care of herself. But, you know, he jumped in when that whole situation happened. And I'm glad that they showed him again. I hope that he'll become a part of this story. You know, that he'll become a more centralized character. One thing that I was actually chatting with some people on the Facebook page, and we were talking and whatnot, and I learned about, one of Robert's other bastard children, who they didn't mention him in the series. Apparently, he's mentioned in the books. But like, man, that dude had a cool name, and I was like, oh man, I can't wait to see this guy. When is he coming? And then, I found out, I was like, oh well, he doesn't really appear in the, he's mentioned, but he doesn't really appear in the books. I'm like, oh man, that's shit. He sounds fucking cool. But so yeah, I'm hoping that, the blacksmith, I hope we get to see him more. When I saw him, I was like, oh man, it's cool that they brought him back, but who knows? So yeah, so Arya is heading to the wall apparently. Or well, even if she's not going to the wall, the most important thing to understand right now is the fact that she's getting the hell out of King's Landing, which is good, which is wonderful, it's fabulous. Now I want to talk about Sansa, because this was really messed up, okay? In this episode, Joffrey pretty much let Sansa know that, number one, you aren't going anywhere because I still plan to marry you. And number two, I want to send you a message in case, your father's treachery is hereditary. Pretty much, he takes her outside to see Ned's head on a fucking pike. Outside, hanging, out on the castle, hanging out by the castle walls. Number one, pretty fucking disgusting that HBO would show that. It's pretty fucked up. But number two, not only was Ned up there, but Sansa's, I guess you can call her caretaker, house mother type thing. When she first arrived in King's Landing, even though Sansa was a bitch to that lady, but her head was up there too. And I can't help but think that might have been a little psycho, because I can see why Ned would be up there, because he was quote unquote a traitor and all that jazz. But why the caretaker? That's kind of it's kind of fucked up, man. But Joffrey also made the threat. He's like, I'm gonna put your brother's head up there too. Once his little rebellion is taken care of. And I'm sorry, what Sansa said was the coolest fucking line. This episode, Sansa had the coolest line that she's ever had in the whole fucking season. Joffrey says, after your brother's rebellion is defeated and done with, I'll bring you your brother's head. And she says, well, maybe he'll bring me yours. I loved that line. Like, I really did like Sansa in this episode. Matter of fact, Sansa even had it in her mind to knock Joffrey off the little bridge they were standing on, which I wish she would have done it, but the Hound stopped her. But here's another thing that I'm curious about. The Hound, while he is loyal to Joffrey, he's not a cruel man. We've been seeing, every now and then that, the Hound does something that we normally wouldn't expect from his character. I'm speaking of us who only see the series, not who read the books. But, the way the Hound is portrayed in the series, he's supposed to be, the fearsome muscle. He's the man with the big ugly scar. He's Joffrey's, right-hand man, and anything Joffrey says, he'll do, which is true for the most part. But in situations where he's had, free will, where he's acted on his own accord, he hasn't really done anything cruel. During the tournament, what is his name? Loras, I believe that is, Sir Loras. Yeah, he saved Sir Loras when the Mountain was trying to kill him. Okay, and then even in this episode, after Sansa got smacked up by that other prick, he gave her a tissue, wipe her blood and stuff like that, and he stopped her from knocking Joffrey off the bridge, letting her know it's like, hey, be smart. There, don't do anything stupid. I mean, I'm sorry, but I can't dislike the Hound right now. I am actually liking the Hound. I don't think he's as bad as most people might think him to be. So let me see what else happened in King's Landing this episode. Okay, we had the scene with Cersei and her cousin. Jesus, this lady is gross. I'm sorry. Your brother, that was enough. But your cousin too, that's just gross. That is nasty, okay? Oh, God. Okay. Let's see. There was the scene with Lord Varys and Littlefinger, them talking. Which, I mean, it's I don't know. It just seems like these two are kind of. I'm just waiting for something to pop off between those two, because it seems like they always need to remind the other of their position on the board, so to speak. I mean, guys do this all the time where, you have to, it's like you have to pretty much measure the other guy's stick to know, who has the bigger, who out of you two have the bigger stick. And usually this is done through intimidation and physical threats and big talking and that type of shit. But it seems like Varys and Littlefinger do this shit all the time, but, they do it on a mental level. At this point, it's kind of, it's just really weird. It's really weird because I don't get where what they're trying to do. It's like they just constantly reminding the other one that they're a threat, when really I'm sorry, but they're just so damn conniving. That's what it is. They're if it was if it was two warriors talking to each other, like, in what was that, episode 2, I believe, when Ned and Jaime had their first conversation, when Ned told Jaime, it's like, oh, you have, your armor looks fabulous. And Jaime's like, yeah, no man's ever been able to, put a scratch on me. He's like, well, you chose your opponents well. See, when warriors talk to each other like that, I can kind of get into it. Why? Because I expect them to fight somewhere later on down the line. But with Littlefinger and Varys, it's like y'all just trying to find out which one can outwit the other, and it's not that appealing to me, because number one, I can't trust either one of you. For the record, I don't like any one of them. Number one. Number two, they can't be trusted. They're so shady. I mean, this goes back to what Robert said, long time ago. He's like, all the kingdom is now is a bunch of scheming, backstealing, ass licking, and money grubbing. That's all it is. And these two are dead examples of that. So, yeah. Other than that, I'm just trying to think what else happened in King's Landing. That might actually be it. Okay, so now let's go to the Wall. And what happened in the Wall, okay, just to recap from last week, what happened at the Wall, pretty much Jon has been conflicted with the decision of whether or not he should leave the Wall and go aid Robb in his war, because last week's episode, that's when Jon found out about Ned's imprisonment and found out that Robb's going to war. So, he's conflicted. He kept saying, he's like, man, I ought to be there. That's my brother. I should be there. And then he even has a conversation with one of the elders at the Wall, and we find out that that elder is a Targaryen, which that was interesting to note. And that's also one of what I call, in addressing last week's episode, I said that, the episode gave false hope to Ned's fate, because that was one of the things, when we learned that there was a Targaryen on the Wall, then that was one of those things where it's like, oh, maybe Ned might actually make it. Maybe he might actually survive, and they'll let him live out his days on the Wall like Lord Varys suggested. Because if a Targaryen's on the Wall, and he's been there for ages, maybe Ned might make it too. And of course, we got fucked over for that. But so that's been Jon's biggest thing. He's been conflicted with that decision. Well, after learning of Ned's death, Jon's mind was made up. He's like, fuck it, I'm going. And so he rides out in the middle of the night. Sam tries to stop him, to no avail. Jon's riding out, and then it takes Sam and their two other friends at the wall to finally convince Jon to come back. Well, later on in the episode, when Jon's speaking with the chief commander lets him know, it's like, hey man, it's like, I understand you feel as if you have to do something, but your place is here. And I mean, this is the same thing Sam and them were talking about, but Matt, I like how the chief commander put it, because he asked Jon, he said, you can either be a brother of the Night's Watch, or you can be the bastard son of a noble house pretending to go to war. And when he said that at first, I didn't quite get what he meant until he unveiled. He said, man, all of the thing, there have been multiple things going on at the wall that we did not know about. Okay, we knew about all the things that were going on at the wall. When Benjen was talking about it, when Jon was talking about it, when the chief commander was talking about it. We know about wildlings, we know about White Walkers, but we didn't know that it wasn't just that one spot. Like because I believe the wall has different there is more than one fortress that makes up the entire wall. You see what I'm saying? They have their different posts. Chief Commander was talking about, man, they've been, attacks over at this post. They've been disappearances here. We've been finding bodies here. He has been fed up with it. And he's like, no, he's like, I'm not waiting for the wildlings or White Walkers or whatever the hell they may be to knock on our door. No, we're going to find them. He has mobilized the Night's Watch, from what it looks like the majority of them. I'm pretty sure they have some that are going to remain there at the wall to guard the wall, but they are heading out beyond the wall in large numbers. And Chief Commander told them, I want you with us. We need you with us. So yeah, Jon is going to fight his own war. And I've been saying this in my earlier reviews, where I said that before all the craziness with Ned happened, I said that Jon didn't really need to concern himself with what was going on in King's Landing. Just like Chief Commander said. He says, I ain't got time to worry about who's sitting on the Iron Throne. I don't have time to worry about what house is moving against what house. I don't have time for that shit. I have to defend. It's just like the oath says. They are the shield of the realm of men. They have shit of their own that they need to be concerned with. And man, Chief Commander had it. He was like, you know what? Fuck this. We're going north. We're going beyond the wall. And they rolled out, man. Now, that was really interesting. I really did like that. That's how they ended season 1 with the Night's Watch. Like the Night's Watch's chapter in season 1 ended with them going beyond the wall. I like that. One thing though that I do want to point out is that I'm hoping that when season 2 starts, we won't miss out on all the action that happened beyond the wall. Like I'm hoping they will still be beyond the wall when season 2 starts. You see what I'm saying? Because HBO can very well, they could just skip over everything that happens beyond the wall, and then when the season 2 premiere, we just see whoever survived just come back to the wall, and all season long we'll be hearing stories of what happened, but we won't actually see it. So I'm hoping that we'll actually get to see it. I want to know what happened to Benjen. Like, I want to see them either find him dead or alive, I want to see them fight some wildlings. I want to see them find some White Walkers, you know? I want to see the hidden fortress, man. Chief Commander said that there was rumor that the wildlings have been gathering in one hidden fortress, some mystical fortress, fictitious fortress, because of course, you know, I mean, it could be true, but you know, no one's been beyond the wall, wherever the fuck they are. I mean, dude, if this is, if the wildlings, however many they may be, if they've organized their numbers to do some type of synchronized, you know, front, that's bad fucking news, dude. Like, it's one thing to have, you know, wildlings that act just like the tribes of the Vale, where, you know, it's this clan and this clan and this clan and this clan, and yeah, they all are kind of fighting alongside each other, but, you know, they'll fight amongst themselves later. But to have all the wildlings together, all on the same accord, that's pretty bad, dude. And that's just wildlings. That's not even White Walkers yet. Then you got to worry about those motherfuckers. So I'm just hoping we actually get to see. I want to see what's beyond the fucking wall, man. Shit. So let's see. Okay. So that's what happened at the wall. Now let's move down to what happened at Winterfell, which really weird. Now, throughout the whole season, we've been seeing Bran have these dreams of, you know, the three-eyed crow. Or raven, excuse me. Three-eyed raven. And I never mentioned it in any of my other reviews because I didn't know what to make of it, you know? It's just him having these dreams, but we didn't know if they were premonitions, if they were, you know, his memories coming back. We didn't know what the raven meant, because he just kept chasing the raven around Winterfell and didn't know what to make of it. Well, apparently the raven told him that if he was to go down to the family crypt, he'd find his dad down there, which is kind of weird. You know, that's really weird. That's actually the first time we've actually heard something about, okay, the raven is speaking to Bran, you know. So he goes into the crypt and he finds his little brother down there, Rickon. And Rickon's down there because he said that he had a dream about the same thing, that they saw their dad in the crypt. Now, this could just be, you know, the kids having a feeling like, oh, dad's in danger, you know, before they found out about Ned's execution, because we saw that they did find out later on in this episode. I mean, right after they left the crypt, that's when they found out. But why would they both have the same type of dream? Like I said, you know, it could be that little, you know, that instinct thing where, you know, you just have that gut feeling about something. But both of them, both seeing Ned in the crypt, I mean, it's just kind of weird. And I still don't know what to make of that. You know, like I said, is that just a gut feeling, or is it a premonition, or is something going to happen? You know, is something supernatural going on? Hell, you know, they talk about, you know, the old gods and the new gods, and, you know, the fact that the Starks do still worship the old gods. Because I think it was last week's episode or the week before where we saw Bran talking, you know, to the tree, just like his dad used to. Is it the gods speaking to them? Like, what's going on is what I'm trying to figure out. That's why I never brought that up before. Didn't know what to make of it. Okay, so now since let's just head down south a little bit further, and let's go to Robb. Now, Robb and his forces, like we said, they had their little victory where they were able to, you know, ambush Jaime and his forces, and they captured Jaime. Good job. But news of Ned's execution has gotten to the war front, and of course, you know, Catelyn, she's all She was all sad and distraught and whatnot. Robb was taking it really hard. But what is worth noting is the fact that Great John, Greyjoy, and all of the other bannermen of the North have wholeheartedly pledged their allegiance to Robb. They were chanting, "To the King of the North, to the King of the North." And I'm sitting up there eating. I wanted to, wave my fork. I'm like, yeah, but I'm really liking that because those bannermen, they've detached themselves from. It was pretty much them detaching themselves from Joffrey and from the Iron Throne. We've seen in the past where lords have talked about having an oath to, bannermen talking about having an oath to the lord that they serve, but they also talk about having an oath to the throne. And the problem comes is like, which one do you which one do you follow? Are you more faithful to the throne, or are you more faithful to the lord who you serve? That type of thing. But it seems like the bannermen of the North have like, man, fuck Joffrey and fuck the Iron Throne. This is the king we're serving. Great John said it. He's like, no, I serve this king, and he points to Robb. So that the fact that Robb is able to fully rally the bannermen of the North like that is so fucking cool. And of course, Ned's death had, impacted that, but just that he's able to do it now is great, and he really do need them at his back. He really do need those bannermen. And then of course we had the conversation with Catelyn and Jaime, which was okay. Jaime pretty much admitted to knocking Bran out of the window in the season premiere, but I can't help but feel like that conversation was cut short. Something's telling me that conversation was longer than that, or this is just the first of multiple conversations that we're going to see between those two. I would hope that we see more conversations with them. Okay, so now leaving Robb and his forces, let's go to Camp Lannister. Excuse me 1 minute. Okay, now pretty much at Camp Lannister, Tywin's pissed off that Jaime's got captured. Okay, we expected that. We knew that would happen. Okay, no surprise there. Of course, you'd be pissed off too. But in the meeting with Tywin and all of his other, bannermen and whatnot, they have pretty much acknowledged the fact that they're losing this fight. And not only that, we learned that apparently Stannis and Renly, oh God, how did I forget their last name? Baratheon. Yes, Robert's younger brothers, apparently they detached themselves from Joffrey and the throne also. Like, they don't have any, they no longer pledge any allegiance to the throne. And by doing so, they are now a problem for, of course they are, because Joffrey is the king now. So they're immediately, they're immediate enemies of the Lannisters now. And Tywin, he knows this, and it really couldn't get any worse for them, because Jaime's forces are now scattered, and he had half of their forces. He had 30,000 men. That's half of their artillery. They're scattered now. Jaime is now captured, so now Robb, they have a captive. Ned's dead, so they can't use Ned as a bargaining chip against, with Robb and them anymore. Robb has absolutely no fucking reason, not to retaliate, because they just killed his dad. He could kill Jaime right now and would be, and they can't do anything about it. Of course, he won't do that because it's smarter to keep him alive right now, because you might want to use him as a bargaining chip. But Robb is winning. The Baratheon brothers now, they're now opposing the Lannisters, and of course there's River Run and all of the River Lords, them too. So yeah, they're losing the fight, and pretty much what happens. Tywin decides that they're going. I think he said something about like separating their forces, like. So many of them will go here. The rest of them will regroup at another site. And for the time being, Tyrion is going to go to King's Landing to serve as hand of the king in his stead. Which is cool. I actually like that. Because I like that because what I'm getting from the new direction where this series is going, and it's kind of funny, it's a little bit ironic, is the fact that it seems like Joffrey is the new Mad King. I mean, just think about it like this. From what we know of the Mad King, Arya Targaryen, who, was just fucking nuts out of his gourd, and a rebellion started up because of that. Robert started up a rebellion, was able to defeat the Mad King, take his place as king, all fine and dandy. Well, the same thing is happening now. Joffrey is king, he's fucking out of his gourd, and Robb has started up a rebellion against him. So, it's kind of like history's repeating itself. It's kind of funny, actually. It's very, very ironic, very funny. But with Tyrion in King's Landing, he might be able to kind of... I'm not saying he'll necessarily put a leash around Joffrey. Of course not, because that boy is just fucking nuts. But it does help to have, the voice of reason. Tyrion in King's Landing as the Hand of the King, he's going to be the voice of reason there, and we kind of need it. Why? Because, I'll be honest with you, I've abandoned King's Landing. I really don't give a shit what happens there anymore, but it's always good to have a voice of reason, because everybody there is just batshit crazy right now. So yeah, so that's a good note. Now let's see, what else is worth mentioning? Tywin forbid Tyrion from taking Shay with him to King's Landing. But what about Bronn? Please tell me he's going to take Bronn with him. You can be the Hand of the King and all that jazz and have the city guard and Lannister guards and all that type of shit, but I'm sorry. I would much rather have Bronn, watching my back than them motherfuckers, okay? Because we know Bronn's capable, and he is highly intelligent. He might come off as a little rude and whatnot, but Bronn's no fucking fool, and he actually knows what he's doing. And he actually likes Tyrion. He enjoys his company. So he wouldn't be doing it just because it's a job. You see what I'm saying? Like, please take Bronn, Tyrion, please take Bronn with you. Yes, take Shay, of course, but please take Bronn. You will need Bronn in King's Landing, trust me. So, and I really don't want to see Bronn just, like, die in battle. Like, seriously, take Bronn with you. But other than that, let's go ahead and let's move south across the narrow sea to what's been going on with the Dothraki. Now, I mentioned in last week's episode that, if they killed Drogo, I was going to be done with the series. Now, granted, I did say that out of frustration. I'm not done with the series, and I'm going to tell you why. Because Drogo's death I had already accepted that fact. You see what I'm saying? The first time they brought up Drogo dying, the first time those words were ever spoken, I already started mentally and emotionally been preparing myself for him to die. Especially with last week's episode, it's like, dude, they're gonna kill him. Like, because they don't have a reason to keep him around anymore. It seems like. Now, granted, Drogo was a beast fucking character. I don't know why, he just got killed off like that, but I kind of already saw that happening. So yes, we've lost Drogo. Not only that, we've lost Rhaegal, Daenerys' unborn son. Lost him too. From what they said, he was misshapen at birth. He resembled a dragon, which I'm going to get to in a minute. So then, it looks like excuse me, getting tongue tied. The Dothraki, they've left. They've abandoned Drogo and Daenerys. They've left. And the only people who were left around are, the slaves that she saved. But what winds up happening, we see the scene with Dany and the witch doctor. They were talking and all that jazz, and I'm trying to remember. I don't know if she killed Drogo on purpose, because that's been my thing. I think she poisoned Drogo. I think she killed him on purpose. But from what I can remember from the conversation, it made it seem more like she didn't help Drogo as much as she could, and she knew that doing that blood magic spell would make him worse. But yeah, she it's like I said this last week in my guest spot on a podcast of Ice and Fire, when I accused the witch of being responsible for Drogo's downfall. Why? Because she had opportunity and motive. That's all you need. Opportunity and motive. Which she went ahead and explained in this episode her fucking motive, So pretty much what winds up happening, Dany, I really feel for her. Why? Because she's lost the tribe, she's lost her son, and she's just lost her husband. She has nothing left right now. Thank God for Jorah, man. Jorah, for all, for him, being a traitor early on in the series and whatnot, I think he's made up for it. I think he's made up for it. So what happens at the end of the episode, which is, the big unveiling that I'm about to get to, they go ahead, they build, the pyre for Drogo, so he can go out, burn him. One thing that's worth noting is the fact that his braid was never cut. Keep that in mind. I paid attention to that. The whole thing about the Dothraki, it's like whenever you're defeated in battle, they cut your braid. Drogo has such a long braid because he's never been defeated in battle. And even when they burned him, still had his fucking braid. So kudos to you, Drogo. You are the fucking man. But what happens is they go ahead and they set up the pyre. And, the witch doctor, she gets tied to it too, which was awesome. That's what she gets. But then Daenerys has the dragon eggs placed with him. And she knew what she was doing. She knew why she did that. I knew why she did that. I think we all knew why she did that. So when they go ahead and they set the sucker ablaze, she walks in, she walks into the fire. And, Jorah told her, he's like, I respect you. I will do anything you command. I will obey. Give my life for you, all that jazz. But don't expect me to sit here and watch you burn. I won't do it. Well, when the fire's out, the dust settles, and the ashes are scattered, the only thing that remains is Daenerys, clothes burned all to hell, with 3 young dragons. Now, this was not at all surprising to me. Why? Because we've been seeing the breadcrumbs of this throughout the entire season. Second episode, she got the dragon. Second episode with the wedding, she got the dragon eggs. Every episode after that, she's been obsessed with the dragon eggs. Okay, we had the scene early on in the season where she has the dragon egg, she places it on the fire, and when when one of the Dothraki women come to attend to her because they believe she's hurt, her hands were spotless. She just put her hands in a fucking fire, touching a hot egg, and they were spotless. You see what I'm saying? The pieces to this great revelation, they've been there. So when she survives and there's three, the dragon eggs have hatched, that's not surprising because we should have expected it. If you didn't expect it, like I said, just pay attention to the series. Go back and watch the episodes and just pay attention to it. I expected it to happen. Hell, even what she said when Daenerys, when her brother was killed, he had the hot gold poured over his head, and Jorah says, Jorah tells her, look away, and she says, no, I want to watch it. And then she makes the comment, she says he was never a dragon. Fire cannot kill a dragon. Just little shit like that, picking up on, you can pick up on that. So, but let me address what I thought was going to happen. Like I said, I expected the end-all, be-all result to be the same. I knew the dragon eggs would hatch, and I knew that she would have, command over them. I knew that. But this is how I thought it would happen. What I thought was going to happen was when the witch doctor did the blood spell, and she said that, only death can pay for life, what I thought was going to happen, since Dany went into premature labor and Jorah brought her into the tent, what I thought was going to happen was something was going to go wrong with the spell where Drogo's life was going to get spared in order to save her son's life. That's what I thought was going to happen. And in doing so, she was actually going to give birth to a dragon, which actually did happen, because they said when her son was born, they said he was never alive because, he was disformed and shit like that, but they said he was born as if he was a dragon. So that's what I'm saying. That's what I thought was going to happen. I thought Drogo was going to die so that Dany can give birth to her son, who would be a fucking dragon. But with that said, someone made the comment in my blog TV where they called, they said Daenerys, mother of dragons. Does that mean that she can give birth to dragons? I mean, we know of her son who, she lost, who resembled a dragon. But can she actually give birth to dragons? Okay. She may be actually able to give birth to dragons. Holy shit. But like I said, the whole thing with the dragons, it wasn't that surprising, because I expected it to happen. And like I said, if you paid attention to the earlier episodes, you saw that coming. Whew, man. So, yeah, this is a good old-fashioned 40-minute recap right here, people. But with that said, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to wrap this review, recap, call it what you will. I'm going to wrap this up. And a few people have asked me to do, when the season was over, to do a season 1 recap. And I don't think I'll do that because it seems redundant. I've done a review for every episode, and those reviews aren't going anywhere. They will remain on my channel. And if you guys haven't checked it out, I even have a playlist, a Game of Thrones playlist, where you can watch all of the reviews. So that's why I feel like reviewing the entire season, it seems to be a little redundant at this point. However, with that said, first off, I want to take this time out to do a shout out to my man Rodney 383, who is actually the artist that designed my new YouTube channel background. Dude is fucking ill, okay? Homeboy is sick, okay? So, dude, thanks for, man, that background's beast. Whew, man. But Rodney is on YouTube. His channel is Anime Real Talk. And there's been talk, Rodney asked me if I would join him and my fellow YouTuber Ziploc Gory, shout out to him too, where we would do like a Game of Thrones season 1 video. So I have to get back in touch with him about that. But if I do decide to, do an entire recap, review, summary, analysis, critique, call it what you will, discussion of season 1 of Game of Thrones, I think I'll wait until we do that group vid. In which case, whenever we get around to doing it, I'll make a video and post the link in the description box letting you guys know, hey, the video's out, go and check it out. Other than that, small, quick shout out to A Podcast of Ice and Fire for having me on the episode 9 recap podcast this past week, and I will also be joining them this upcoming week for the episode 10. With that said, I got a few other offers, requests for other people with other podcasts to join in and whatnot. And once all that is finalized, I'll go ahead and I'll let you all know about that. Other than that, my only other plans before season 2, as far as Game of Thrones is concerned, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick up the books, and I'm going to read the first book. I'm going to read the first book and see how it compares with the series. In which case, I will do a video where I will review the first novel, and I will compare and contrast it to the first season. Now that, like I said, that video that's going to be a while. That's going to be a while down the line. But that's what I have planned as far as Game of Thrones related material. Other than that, man, guys, this is it. We've made it through season 1, and it's been a hell of a fucking ride. And I want to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you, all of my new viewers, subscribers, all of my new friends, everybody who joined the Facebook page, everyone who followed me on Twitter, a couple of websites, winteriscoming.net for being the first to post that article of me with my episode 1 review, and for week after week posting me on their new viewer review list, and week in and week out, man. God, gotta love them. Mad support from winteriscoming.net. Other websites, Podcast of Ice and Fire for having me on, and their whole fan base and all that jazz. I believe, what is it, Westeros? Is it Westeros.org? I think was another one. Showing the brothers some love. Gotta thank them. Boomtron.com for having me guest spot on their podcast. It was. There's another podcast I'm forgetting that had me on as a guest. I keep forgetting it. Something Awful Forums. Oh man, and IMDb. I just want to thank everybody. Just everybody. It's been a hell of an experience, and yes, we will get to do this all over again spring 2012 when season 2 is released. Now, until then, what's going to be going on? Number one, I got a couple of questions if I'm going to be keeping up with the Game of Thrones news as the season 2 develops. I won't, because I just want to come into season 2 just like I did with season 1. I want to come into it fresh, new. If I'm reading about the new castings and the shoots and all that kind of stuff, it is a little bit too much. Nah, just let me be surprised, okay? I just want to come into this surprised and ready to go. But other than that, what's going to be going on the channel now that Game of Thrones is over with? Like I said, I will still be doing my weekly music album reviews and movie reviews, which I hope you all will check those out and enjoy those as well. I'll still be doing my monthly vids, which consist of my rants, my anime favorite segment, which will kick off next month, as well as my manga of the month segment, which second installment will be probably next week, later this week. And my anime of the month segment, that's going to kick off next month. And other than that, as far as like television shows that I'm going to be reviewing weekly, I don't have any plans until the fall. In the fall, I'm going to be doing weekly reviews of Sons of Anarchy, Season 4. Yes. Cannot wait for Sons of Anarchy. I am pumped, okay? Pumped. And season 2 of Boardwalk Empire. I'll be reviewing that also. Other than that, I will make a vid on the final season of Rescue Me when that comes out in next month in July, you know. Will I be reviewing it on a weekly basis, though? I don't know. It's pretty much going to be determined just like the Game of Thrones videos. If I do the vid and it gets good reception and I get a lot of requests to review it weekly, then I'll go ahead and review it weekly. Other than that, I don't have any other plans as far as television series that I'm going to be reviewing. I mean, even, like, of course, you know, the fall, like I said, Sons of Anarchy, Boardwalk Empire. But then, yes, by next spring, we'll have Game of Thrones again. So, really looking forward to it. So with that said, that'll do it here for me. I want to take this time. Once again, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for sticking around with this vid. You know, this vid is a little bit longer than my other ones. But yes, remind you guys, Facebook.com/OtakuAssemble, Twitter.com/OtakuAssemble. As always, YouTube.com/OtakuAssemble. Thanks again. And with that said, this is Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief. I'm signing off. For you guys who enjoy my other vids, by all means, stick around. Thank you so much. For you all who only watch the Game of Thrones, and you probably will only, you know, that's probably the only thing on my channel you watch. Hey, I would like you all to stick around, you know, check out my other stuff. But in case you don't, come back next season. Hopefully, I will still be doing this. Hopefully by then, though, I'll have a better camera, number one. Better camera, better editing software, and, you know, hopefully, you know, the channel's much bigger. You know, my videos are much up to snuff. You know, a year is a very long time. Who knows where we can be in a year? But I intend to be doing weekly Game of Thrones Season 2. And so for all of you all who only watch my Game of Thrones videos, by all means, Season 2, don't forget about your boy. Come back, because we will be doing it. We will. So with that said, this is Larry Jean-Pierre Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief. I'm signing off, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.